Welcome to the Georgia Hour with BKP on voiceofruralamerica.com. This is 1 hour a day, Monday through Friday, where we talk all things Georgia, things that pertain to Georgia, surround Georgia, have something to do with Georgia, a little bit of Georgia. How are you today? I am cold. So first and foremost in Georgia, thank you. If you were here earlier, just a quick clarification. I want to make sure I didn't come across that the tech bros, all of the tech bros, that I find them to be good people. Just want to let you know. So, a couple things. Enjoy our friends. It is very cold. So, if you're tuned in for the Georgia Hour, we have a blistering cold weather. And at 8 o'clock in my studio this morning, it was 5 degrees. We have a state of emergency in Georgia with the temperature. Plus, in South Georgia, we have our shoreline, South Georgia, right up to the Alabama border, all the way down to the Florida line and over to Savannah and further north, snow-covered, a snowstorm. We do not have snow here in North Georgia. Right here where I'm sitting, there is no snow, but at 8 a.m. it was 5 degrees. We're being asked to keep, and that's why I couldn't get a sport coat on. I almost put a winter coat on over this because we're being asked to keep our thermostats down so our emergency heat doesn't run continually to try to bring down the need for electricity, so to prevent power outages. So it's pretty tough all across the country in the Northeast, but in Georgia, very, very cold. Now, that being said, a quick programming note. Tomorrow night, due to the weather, and I guess maybe they have some snow over in the area, the Hall County Republican women have canceled their meeting for tomorrow night, and they will reschedule it. And I was scheduled to be a speaker there, and it is canceled. And I respect they're making a decision. They've got to make a call. The weather's pretty tough. Again, I don't know that area as far as snow cover, but they've canceled that. So Friday, I have been asked over and over, what next? So the election is over, certified. January 20th is over. Donald Trump is president of the United States. Many of us did not think that day would come. We did not think they could protect President Trump enough to get him into office. And I want to say my concerns about his safety have not been alleviated. But I've been asked over and over, what next? Okay, what do we do next? So I am going to start Friday, and I'm going to give a speech Friday at 10 a.m. that I was going to give tomorrow night. And I appreciate the good people over at the Hall County Republican Women. They're an amazing group. They have invited me to come back and speak, and obviously I'll have other subjects or many other things to go over. I'm going to look at my calendar now before confirming. But Friday, I'm not going to wait any longer. I don't have a venue out there or an audience that has invited me recently to speak. So Friday, I am going to do my speech on what next. I have prepared a speech for tomorrow night. I'm going to deliver that Friday at 10 a.m. It is time to talk about what next. Now, in Georgia, in the Republican Party of Georgia, where have we come from? The travel, where we're at in 2026. You see, it is time in Georgia. We have, is it April? Is it April or March? I forget. I will get the dates, but we have what we call our county, our county caucus, our county conventions. So every county, every Republican Party county has a convention, county convention, where we will pick a new chair of that county for the Republican Party, vice chair, all the above, the officers, and pass some resolutions. But that'll be our county convention. At the county convention, all right, at the county convention, that's where we pick our delegates to the district convention, and at the same time, our delegates to the state convention. Now, many of you have said, well, wait a minute, what about over 80? If you're a county and you're over 80,000, you have two meetings. You have, I think, what's called your precinct caucus, where you pick your delegates, and then you have your meeting, the next meeting, where you pick your chairperson for that county. So there's two meetings. We'll get the details for those on the counties over 80. The counties under 80 have one meeting day. All right. And we'll get further into that. After that, they go to the district conventions. All of our districts, we have 14 districts in the state of Georgia, and we go to a district convention, and that's where we elect our district chair. This is the year, every 2 years we do this. As far as our officers, we elect our district chair for each county and all the officers, and we do resolutions to send to the state. And then in June, we will have the Georgia GOP state convention this year over in Dalton, Georgia, and that's where we will pick a new chairman or reelect. We've not gotten word. A lot of rumor that Josh McCoon will run again, but we'll pick a new chairman, vice chair, second vice chair, secretary, treasurer, the works over there. Now, that being said, I wanted to not be in the way of anything all the way up to noon, January 20th. But I will, starting Friday, lay out 2026, what I think we need to do and where we stand as a party and what we have to be ready for, and what we have to be ready for in 2026 with the next election coming up of all of our constitutional officers. So Friday, I'm going to have multiple speeches on this because some of you have worked too hard to go in reverse. We're going to talk about that. Friday, 10 a.m. Now, that being said, I want to bring this up just briefly. Number 58. Now, we have, and this is, I'm dealing with this because this is in the state of Georgia, and it also has a national flair to it. That is, in the picture, Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. Those are the two U.S. senators from Georgia. Now, the Laken Riley Act was just passed, and both of these senators in Georgia, Democrat senators in Georgia, voted for the Laken Riley Act. And what this article does is it touches on something that I could appreciate, and I've been thinking about this. If Trump's first 2 years are that successful, and they will be, I mean, he is charting out some things that by time the election comes up in 2026, things could be going very well. It's historic that you lose seats. The sitting president, the party of the sitting president, loses seats in the midterm. That's historical. We will see. Very few times does the party in power gain seats in a midterm. So knowing that, this is something we want to go over here. Senate Democrats, number 58, because Jon Ossoff is up for, there's a major discussion in Georgia. Who's going to run against Jon Ossoff? Now, Raphael Warnock has 4 years left on his term. I think he'll be 2 years, right? I think when the 2026 election comes up, Raphael Warnock will be up in 2 more years. That being said, in Georgia, we're looking at how many Republicans out there are going to jump into the Senate race. We've got Buddy Carter in the first. All right. A lot of rumor that Kelvin King might try to get back in. He ran before. A lot of rumor that Rich McCormick, this is all rumor, over in the 7th District, Congressman Rich McCormick, he might be interested in the Senate. Then there's Barry Loudermilk, Buddy Carter in the first, Barry Loudermilk in the 11th. Some say that he thinks he could be the next senator. Some think that Barry Loudermilk could be the next senator and also get Trump's endorsement. Just saying, Congressman. And then there's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, I think Marjorie cannot win a statewide election, but she's out there. You don't know. And that may not be the only ones, because who have I not discussed? Brian Kemp might jump in and throw his hat in the ring for U.S. Senate. So with that in mind, going up against Jon Ossoff, Democrats have to concern themselves with how they vote in Trump states. Now, we won, Georgia won, Trump won in Georgia 2 points. It is still now considered a Trump state. So Senate Democrats from Trump states are starting to vote in tandem, which could make Minority Leader Chuck Schumer's life more complicated for the next 2 years. Here's an example. All right. What they call the 2-for-1 math. Senator Raphael Warnock, Democrat from Georgia, quietly changed his position by voting in favor for final passage. He was backing up Jon Ossoff of Georgia, who faces re-election in 2026. Warnock later blamed a process objection on his flip. But Jon Ossoff is running. He has to vote. He has to vote on some things in Trump's favor. So it's taken off the campaign in 2026. And he's got to go to Raphael Warnock and say, hey, don't leave me hanging out here. So that's what they're calling the 2-for-1. You have another one I'll throw in there. Okay. Senator Maggie Hassan, Democrat in New Hampshire, voted with Senator Jeanine Shaheen, who is up in 26. And then also Elise Stefanik in Michigan voted with Senator Gary Peters, who is up next year. So we have a possibility that the Senate could have some Democrats go Trump's way based on what could happen to them in the election in 2026, Jon Ossoff in Georgia being one of them. So we will watch that. One more thing on a Georgia note, number 71, Keisha Lance Bottom. Is it Bottom or S? Bottoms. Bottoms up, Keisha. She is the former mayor. She got all attitude. Former mayor of Atlanta, which Joe Biden tapped to be in his administration. Donald Trump firing people. She was on the list of people that Donald Trump fired, but she said today on Politically Georgia, she's on there. Former Atlanta mayor Keisha Lance Bottom joins the show to talk about her resignation from President Trump's President Export Council one day before President Donald Trump tried to fire her. So she's claiming, I quit, man. You can't fire me. I quit. So Keisha Lance Bottoms. And one more note on Georgia. We played it earlier. Number 68. This is my former congressman in Georgia, Doug Collins. President Donald Trump has said he wants to shrink the size of government the day after he took office. Democrats wanted to know if that applied to veterans' health care benefits, the AJC. What they really did yesterday is attack Doug Collins and say, will you cut abortion benefits from veterans? Yes. So they tried to go after Doug Collins, AJC, helping them out. So I want to play this, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to discuss some salaries in Georgia. A couple other things before we close the day. Diane, let's play video 1.
Our nation was built by those who served, who kept our country safe, by those who sacrificed everything. They deserve a government that has their back. They deserve Doug Collins as Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Doug Collins and the Trump administration will treat our nation's veterans exactly as they should be, as heroes. Call your senator today and tell them you support Doug Collins as Secretary of Veterans Affairs.
Folks, there you go. It's on the screen. Thank you, Diane. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing that. And let's get that on the website, blast it out on the social media. But yes, they're trying to go after Congressman Doug Collins, and we need him for Secretary of Veteran Affairs. He will do an amazing job for our veterans. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, how much money do these people make in the state of Georgia? How much do they make? Some of these salaries these have to be typos. I'll be right back with the Georgia Hour, the second half of the Georgia Hour, in just a couple minutes.